Hi everyone, today I am here to talk about the Deltora Quest books by Emily Rodda. But before that, I would like to point out that I'm wearing a Robert Plant t-shirt because I went and saw Robert Plant live. He was a lead singer of Led Zeppelin and he is still touring and his voice is still awesome. And I would like to thank my Aunt Laura for totally bringing me to that concert because it was amazing and you should go totally check it out and I could blah blah about it forever. But this is a book review, so we are going to be talking about the Deltora Quest books. I read these books when I was a kid. We used to get in elementary school these little like scholastic book, um, like they weren't magazines because they were only like 2 pages, but it was basically like these are books that you can purchase if you want some books. And I remember that's how I got all the Deltora books when I was younger, and I read all of them. And I actually eventually gave them all away, which is kind of funny because when I saw this at the library again, and it was $1 for the first 4 books of the Deltora Quest series, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it because strangely enough, even though it's a really good series, I feel like it's hard to find in American libraries, and maybe that's just where I live, but I haven't been able to find like her books really in the library. There's some of them, but there's not the whole series. Or there's like the manga version of them, but I'm like, no, I want to read the actual one. Like, so yeah, that's I reread them, and it was still good. Like, it was entertaining enough for me to read the first 4 books. Like I said, these are the first 4 books all compiled into one little, you know, um, special edition is what it's called, the special edition version. And yeah, they were still entertaining. I read through all 4 of them. I feel like it's definitely for younger kids. I don't know if I'll keep this book, but for now I will. I'll maybe give it away eventually to someone who has a kid or something, and maybe they would enjoy it. It was still well written, and there's always a lesson to be learned in the stories or at the end of the book or whatever. So, it's a typical kind of quest adventure story for younger kids. I wouldn't say like super young, maybe 10, 12, like starting there, not super, super young kids, but still younger than, I feel like it's not a teen book. I feel like it's too young for that, even though the characters, 2 of the main characters are teenagers in the book. I feel like it's a bit younger than the age that they are, which is 16 in the book. I feel like if a 16-year-old read this, they wouldn't super enjoy it. Like, they still might enjoy it, but as a teenager, some teenagers are like, I don't like reading, that's dumb, and this isn't exciting. And I feel like that might be what it is. I mean, as a teenager, I read books all the time, but if I had read this as a teenager, I might have thought, it was okay, but not the best. And I think that's probably around the age that I gave them away when I was maybe even a younger teen. I might have given them away because I was reading these in elementary school. So maybe even younger kids than 10, 12. But anyway, yeah, that was just to say that they're definitely for younger readers, still enjoyable as an adult, but not the best book I've ever read as an adult. And this was the first 4. I would still read the other ones, to see how it ends because there are 8 books, I believe, in this series. They're trying to find, the premise is they're trying to find all these stones that belong to the belt of Deltora. And there are 7 stones. And when the belt is back together and everything, then, the evil Shadow Lord will be vanquished from the land. So I believe there's 1 book for every stone, and then there is the last book for, the end of this series. There's also other series set in Deltora that I totally read as a child too. I remember reading all of the Deltora books that have been published up until that point. There's ones with dragons, like the Dragon Deltora Quest, and there was some other one that I can't remember what it was called, but when I looked up the book covers, I was like, oh yeah, I remember these too, so I read them as well. Yeah, like I said, still entertaining, definitely read. The characters are kind of, I feel like there's 3 main characters. There's Barda, who's older, there's Leaf and Jasmine, who are the 2 teenagers, and honestly, I feel like Jasmine does everything. There are parts when Leaf does some good things, and then Barda, even though he's was trained as like a palace guard and supposed to be a strong man. I'm like, I feel like he's literally the most useless because there's like once again there's a couple times where he steps up and proves that he can protect people and stuff, but I'm like, literally Jasmine. It's Jasmine that does everything. Like, she's smart, she knows, she's lived by herself, she's taken care of herself, and so she knows how to get out of situations and deal with stuff, and I feel like she's always the one saving their butts. So yeah, go Jasmine. It was interesting to see, because there's basically, there's different obstacles that you have to overcome in every book to get the stone that are protected by horrible monsters or stuff like that. And I thought the most true to form or interesting one was the City of the Rats. So the 4 books are the Forest of Silence, Lake of Tears, City of Rats, and the Shifting Sands. I thought the City of Rats was the most interesting one because it is set in medieval times at a time where, rats were a big problem. And in some parts of the world, they still are a big problem. And not even in some parts of the world, and probably every part of the world, there's some rat problem happening, right? Because they get in and they eat your food and they'll chew through everything, like no matter where they are. So in the City of the Rats book, there's a society that has just basically rid themselves of rats, and now they're hypersensitive about keeping rats away. And I actually thought that was like, that actually makes a lot of sense, because rats carry, not only are they pests that will come in and destroy everything, but they also carry a lot of diseases that will kill you. So I thought that was really clever of Emily Rodda, making that fear of rats into a whole story, basically. And I really enjoyed that one, because I was like, yeah, that could have actually happened, if there had been a society that had been able to rid themselves of rats and over time had become kind of like this cult thing that was about like not having any rats at all. It totally could have happened, Cults are weird anyways. Like, maybe there is a rat cult out there that are all about getting rid of rats. I have no idea. So I thought that was super clever, actually, especially considering the time period set during a medieval type era and all the crap and havoc that rats cause, like with bubonic plague and crap during the medieval times. So yeah, it was still entertaining, and like I said, for some reason I can't find them in any library, so I paid just $1 for this book to get the first 4, so I was like, that's a steal, 25 cents per book at the library. Also, if your library does have a book sale, go and find books there. Support your local library. Libraries need our help. They don't get a lot of funding, but they're awesome. Libraries are awesome. You can get books for free. This one I bought, yes, but my library back in Colorado used to tell you when you logged into your account how much money you'd saved by checking out books instead of buying them online. And I saved like $1,200 in a year. So yeah, you can save lots of money by using the library. And don't get me wrong, I go out and buy books. Like I said, I bought this one, but I do try and find used books and also support used bookstores and stuff. I try not to use Amazon unless I can't find the book anywhere else, because I like to support more local businesses. But I mean, that's just me, and that has nothing to do with book reviews. It's just a way to help save money if you like to read and you like to buy books. But I try not to buy books that much unless I really, really like them and want them on my bookshelf. Besides like this one that I bought at the library, I've been buying a lot of kids' books for a friend who's going to have a baby, but other than that, like, I can't really remember, like, my last big time I went to a bookstore and bought a book because I really needed it. I've been thinking about going to find a used copy of The Cane Mutiny, though, because I really do love that book. It was so well written, and it still stuck with me, and I read it a year ago, I think. I don't remember exactly when I read The Cane Mutiny, but maybe a year ago. And just amazing. So check out The Cane Mutiny while we're talking about freaking Deltora Quest books. That kind of went off the rails, but yeah, so if I had to, my question is, which one of these scared me the most? Like, which one would I have liked to attempted to survive? And it probably would have been the rat one, to be honest. Just because, like I said, it seemed more realistic, which isn't a thing that you need in fantasy. Like, I don't judge fantasy books based on realism because they're fantasy, but the City of Rats one definitely stuck with me more than others because of that. So if I had to face one trial and go through one thing, it would have been attempting to survive the City of Rats, which I probably would have died and the rats would have eaten me. But yeah, that's the Deltora Quest books by Emily Rodda. Definitely check them out. She's also written other books. I don't really know what they are. I just know that she has written other books besides the ones set in Deltora. So yeah, that was the Deltora Quest by Emily Rodda. If you had to survive a city full of rats, do you think you could do it? If you had, I'm trying to think of what, I guess they did have some fire things, which would be helpful against rats. But basically, if you had a sword, a knife, your clothes on your back, and some fire, do you think you'd be able to survive a whole city full of rats? Comment down below. Like, subscribe, follow. I will also post my link tree in the description because I have a podcast called Fighting for Writing where I talk about writing and books. The last episode I did, I read some of my own works that I had found, old ones, so that was entertaining because they weren't the best, and some of them are really crappy. Some of them I ended with a couple that I'm still proud of, though, and really enjoy. So go check that out in my link tree below. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, do everything. And you all have a wonderful day.